Since the Federal Skilled Worker Program has now been pushed to the back burner, at least we've not had a draw in the last 1 year, you have to look for different options for you to immigrate to Canada if that is still your dream. And one of those viable options is the Saskatchewan Immigration Nominee Program, the SINP. And that is what I will be talking about in this video. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Faith. I'm an HR professional and event host based in Toronto, Canada. If this is your first time of stopping by, thank you so much. Please use the subscribe button below and also click on that notification bell. So when I post a new video, you will hurry down and watch it. And if you're a returning viewer, always a joy to have you. Thank you so much. So guys, thank you so much for the love you showed in my last video. So I'm just continuing in that series. So I'm going to be talking about the Saskatchewan Immigration Nominee Program, SINP. It's so long, so in the course of the video, I'll probably just be saying the SINP oh no, that's tautology, the SINP. So that's what I'm just going to be using in the course of this video. So now this is one of the more viable provincial nominations that we have available. As you know, there's a provincial nomination stream where different provinces have, can invite you to apply for their permanent residency. And Saskatchewan, the one for Saskatchewan is actually one of the easiest, which is why I'm emphasizing on it in this video, and which is why I think that is something that you should take note of. So what is really this SINP? So if you are someone who wants to work and reside in Saskatchewan, then this program is for you. There are two streams in this program. There's the occupation in demand, and then there's also the international worker, which is like an express entry subcategory. So those are the two streams. Now they are pretty much the same. I mean, I think it's just one or two differences. The difference really is that for the occupation in demand, you don't need to create an express entry profile. But for the international worker express entry subcategory, you need to have an express entry profile. So then I think that's one difference. And then the other difference really is just in the language test requirements. For the occupation in demand, you only need a minimum of CLB4. But for the express entry or international worker express entry subcategory, you need CLB, at least CLB7, because it's kind of taking the same shape as if you were applying for the Federal Skilled Worker Program, right? So that's really the difference between the two. So now let us go into the requirements. So the first requirement really is that you need to have an express entry profile number and a job seeker validation code, because that will form part of your SINP application. You also need to have met the regular express entry language requirements and be able to provide your test results. Of course, that's the IELTS or the TEF or TCF if you're doing the French test. So you need to have that one as well. Then of course you need to have sufficient funds to cover your settlement costs in Saskatchewan, and you also need to have a settlement plan. That is one of the requirements. And then finally, the most important requirement is that you need to have a minimum of 60 points of the 110, which is, the total number of points that you can get from the SINP point assessment grid. Now I'm going to go in depth in this one because aside the express entry profile, which is where you submit your profile and then you can get your CRS score can be up to maybe 400 and something, 450 as the case may be. The Saskatchewan Immigration Nominee Program has another assessment grid that they use. So in this assessment grid, you need to have a minimum of 60 points. And what are the things that you are going to be assessed on? So you're going to be assessed on your education. For the education section, you can get a maximum of 23 points. And 23 points is for someone who has a master's degree. If you have a bachelor's degree, you would be eligible for 20 points. If you have a diploma, it will give you about 15 points. So that's the first part of the assessment grid that you are going to be, that's the first criteria in the assessment grid. I'm going to link all of this in the description box that shows you like a table where you can see all the things I'm talking about down. There's also the skilled work experience. So in this part, you can have a maximum of 15 points, depending on the number of years of experience that you have. Then the third criteria is the language ability. So in the language ability, if you have a CLB of 8 or higher, then you get the maximum point, which is 20 points. CLB 7 gives you 18 points, CLB 6 gives you 16 points, and it goes down from there. You will find that in the link in the description box. And then there's also the age factor. So obviously this is a skilled worker program. So obviously they're looking for people who would join their workforce, right? So the older you are, the lesser your points, or the younger you are in terms of a certain bracket age range, then your points will also be less. So obviously you will get the highest points, or you get the maximum points if you're between ages 22 to 34. So for that one, you will get 12 points. And then if you were between ages 35 to 45, you will get 10 points. So that is how it works. You would be able to see the other points for the other age brackets in the link below. And then finally, the other one is the connection to the Saskatchewan labor market. This will give you a maximum of 30 points. But I have to be honest, this is not, I don't think that you would really get points from these, because for this one, you either need to probably have a relative in Saskatchewan, or maybe you have resided in Saskatchewan before, or you are currently residing in Saskatchewan, or maybe you've schooled there before, but let's be honest, how many of us have schooled there or have relatives and all of that? So you might not be able to get points, you might not be able to get these 30 points. So I think your focus should be more on seeing how you can maximize your points in the other sections that I mentioned. So that is really what the assessment grid looks like. So like I said, refer to the description box for more details. Now let's talk about how the program really works. So for both streams, whether it's the express entry or the occupation in demand stream, there's what we call an EOI, expression of interest. So Saskatchewan uses that in order to assess your eligibility for this program. So aside creating an express entry profile, you will also need to create an expression of interest profile. Now, this is different from what you would have in, maybe provinces like Ontario. I don't think we have that here. In Ontario, you just need to, be in the PNP pool, and if you meet up with the criteria, they will be the one to contact you. But for Saskatchewan, you also have to create an expression of interest profile. So you're basically telling them that, look, I am ready to, relocate to Saskatchewan, and I meet up with the requirements. For that, you will need to go to the SINP portal online. I'm going to link that in the description box. So you go to the portal and fill out all the, respond to all the questions that they ask. Based on your responses, then they'll be able to assess your eligibility for this program. So once you have created your EOI profile, I would also link that in the description box if you want to know how exactly you're going to do that. I have a link for that in the description box. Once you have created that profile, then from time to time, what Saskatchewan does is that just like the express entry or federal skilled worker draws, they also do their own EOI draws. So in any of those draws, if you meet up with the minimum requirements, you will be invited to apply. So you will get an invitation to apply, just like you would with the federal skilled worker program. So when you get that invitation to apply, at that point, you'll be required to pay the application fee, which is $350 Canadian. It's non-refundable. So you just need to factor that in when you are, applying for this SINP. So you'll be required to pay that amount. Once your application is now approved, what will happen is that you will now be able to apply for PR with IRCC. So remember that even when you get your provincial nomination, it gives you 600 points. So that is a lot. So what that means is that with your 600 points, automatically you are even eligible to apply at the federal level. So, it's kind of like a win-win situation, right? So this is really what the program is all about. I think the key thing is about meeting up with the eligibility requirements, which I mentioned earlier and which I would also link in the description box. And putting forward your application. Now, one of the reasons why people like this program is because, one, the application process is sort of easy, let's be honest, it's kind of straightforward. Secondly, the processing time is faster than, the regular provincial nomination programs that you have out there. So Saskatchewan, the processing time is faster, it's tested and trusted. A lot of people have relocated via this route. And the good news as well is that you don't need a job offer, right, to relocate. You don't need a job offer for this. You can get you can get your application approved without a job offer. But one of the things I need to also mention as well is that there is an exemption list that they have. So when you look at the NOCs and the different professions, the different careers or career options that you have, there is a list of exempted NOCs that cannot apply for this SINP. So I think the first thing that you should do before you even start looking at the eligibility requirements and all of that is to check that your NOC is not on that exclusion list. If your NOC is on that list, then there is no need to apply for this program. I'm going to link that in the description box as well. I think I have a link that has the NOCs that are exempted and then the NOCs that they actually require. I know people like, people that studied medicine or veterinary medicine or optometry, this is not the program for you. I think they have a special program for healthcare workers, but for this particular SINP, this is not the program for you. So just make sure that you check that list. In fact, that's the first thing you should do. I should have said that at the beginning of this video. That's the first thing you should do. Check that list first, and then you can now determine that, okay, you are someone that is eligible to apply for this program. Then you look at the eligibility criteria, all the ones I mentioned before, and see what your points come to. Now, it says a minimum of 60 points out of 110. Let's be honest, don't aim for the 60, because the truth is that if you aim for 60, then your chances are still slim. So try and aim for something higher. I hope that, your age and, your credentials and every other thing will be able to give you the maximum points that you, at least we're able to give you something above 60, because 60 is the baseline, meaning a lot of people will probably be around that baseline. So for you to actually get an invitation to apply, then you might need a little more than 60. So I'm hoping that, when you put your requirements in that assessment grid, your score will come up to something a little more than 60. So that's really it, guys, for this SINP. Like I said, please, while you're focusing on, the Federal Skilled Worker Program and all the other ones that are available, try and look for opportunities that are viable, and SINP is one of them. Saskatchewan is a great province. It's somewhere that, a lot of people have made giant strides, if you must. So please check out this SINP, and if you qualify for it, please make sure you apply. Share this video with anyone who has been trying the Federal Skilled Worker Program and it's not working out. Tell them there are alternatives like this that they can check out. And like I said, the catch is you don't need a job offer, unlike the Atlantic Immigration Program. So guys, if you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. I've been seeing some of those subscriptions. Please, please, please keep them coming. And you know how we roll. I'll see you in my next video. So it is not enough to have created an express entry profile, for instance, so Saskatchewan uses an express, my editing work now more.